Guard the eyes, ears, nose, and mouth with care. Keep the body and mind always upright and disciplined. If a monk practices in this way, he will be free from all suffering. Our minds are constantly influenced by what we see with our eyes, hear with our ears, and express through our words. When we allow our attention to be captured by unwholesome things, mental afflictions begin to grow as well. For this reason, the Buddha taught us to guard our senses, our actions, and even our thoughts. A person who watches over oneself with mindfulness is not easily shaken by suffering. Today, before you speak, take a moment to reflect. When strong emotions arise, pause for a brief moment and observe them. That short instant of awareness becomes the strength that protects the mind. Peace is not found in some distant place. It begins with caring for yourself rightly in each moment, and that is the first step toward reducing suffering. To restrain the body is good. To restrain speech is also good. To restrain the mind is good as well. To restrain oneself in all things is truly good. The practitioner who is restrained in every way will be freed from all suffering. We act through the body and reveal our thoughts through speech. Yet when we are carried away by our emotions, we often say and do things that we later regret. Those who watch over their body, speech, and mind are not easily disturbed by changing circumstances. The ability to govern oneself is the foundation of a peaceful life. Today, when anger arises or impatience begins to grow, pause for a moment and look within. The more small acts of self-restraint you practice, the freer your mind becomes. True freedom is not found in doing whatever we wish, but in having the wisdom to guide ourselves well. Do not commit wrongs through your hands or feet. Be careful with your words and act in accordance with the right way. If the mind delights in meditation and one maintains a steady practice, one will always abide in peace. When the mind is unsettled, our actions easily become disordered as well. We act on impulse, speak without thinking, and often find ourselves left with regret. The Buddha taught us to guide our actions and speech rightly, and to keep the mind calm and collected. Peace is not something to be found outside ourselves. It begins with learning to govern and care for our own minds. Today, do not rush. Take a moment to reflect before you act. That simple pause can prevent many mistakes and bring greater clarity to your day. Small acts of self-restraint and a wholesome state of mind will gently lead you toward a life of peace and tranquility. Always learn to guard your speech. If your words are gentle and your conduct is calm, and you are guided by the principles of the Dharma, your speech will naturally become soft and beautiful. Words leave our lips in a moment, but their influence can remain for a long time. Harsh words can win the heart, while kind words can bring comfort and encouragement. The Buddha taught us to be mindful of our speech and to speak with gentleness. When words arise from right understanding, they naturally become calm, compassionate, and sincere. Today, offer a kind word to someone. Even a brief expression of warmth can become a source of great strength. Beautiful speech benefits not only others, but also brightens our own hearts. Learning to guard our words is one of the first steps on the path of practice. Delight in the Dharma and strive to follow it. Reflect on it deeply and abide in it. If a monk relies upon the Dharma, his life will be upright and never lived in vain. To avoid losing our way, we need a guiding principle to return to again and again. The Buddha taught us to learn the Dharma, put it into practice, and reflect on it deeply. The Dharma is not something to be merely read or understood. Its true power is revealed when it is lived in daily life. When we make right teachings the foundation of our lives, we are less likely to lose our direction, even in difficult times. Today, choose one teaching that resonates with your heart and practice it throughout the day. A small act of practice can bring about meaningful change. A life guided by wholesome teachings is never wasted. The more we learn and practice, the brighter and more meaningful our lives become. Do not learn ways to seek personal gain, nor delight in various distracting pursuits. If a monk becomes attached to such pursuits, he will not attain a mind of meditative concentration. When the mind begins to chase profit and desire, it is easy to lose sight of the path it was meant to follow. As we try to do more, gain more, and possess more, the mind becomes increasingly busy and restless. The Buddha taught that a practitioner should not allow the mind to be carried away by distracting activities, but should remain focused on the original purpose of practice. With a scattered mind, it is difficult to attain deep peace and concentration. Today, take a moment to reflect on what truly deserves your attention. Ask yourself what is most important in your life right now. The more focused your mind becomes, the clearer and calmer it will be. Desire scatters the mind, while focus brings it to stillness. May you spend today without losing sight of the direction that truly matters. If a monk takes only a few possessions and does not accumulate many things, he will be praised by both gods and humans, and his life will remain pure and free from defilement. Having more possessions does not necessarily make the heart richer. In fact, the stronger the desire to acquire more becomes, the more worrying and attachment tend to grow. Those who know how to take only what is needed have less fear of loss. As the mind becomes lighter, life becomes simpler, and its natural peace begins to return. Today, take a moment to reflect on what you may be holding on to that you do not truly need. Letting go can be another way of receiving. A life with fewer possessions is not a life of lack. It is the wisdom of freeing oneself from attachment. A light and unburdened heart naturally gives rise to deep peace. Do not be deluded by any name or material thing, for none of them possess lasting existence. If one does not cling to them and remains free from anxiety, that person may truly be called a monk. We often become attached to names, status, and possessions, yet none of these things are permanent. In time, they all change and eventually pass away. The more tightly we cling to what is destined to disappear, the greater our worrying and anxiety become. On the other hand, when we let go of attachment, the mind grows lighter and more at ease, where anxiety fades. Peace naturally finds a place to remain. Today, take a moment to reflect on what you find difficult to let go of. The moment you become aware of your attachment, your mind begins to move toward freedom. The more we try to hold on, the more suffering we create. The more we learn to let go, the more peace we discover. A light and unburdened heart is the foundation of a free and joyful life. If a monk constantly practices compassion, delights in and reveres the Buddhist teachings, enters deeply into meditation and insight, and brings conditioned actions to cessation, he will soon find peace. Compassion is directed toward others, but in the end, it also brings peace to oneself. A mind filled with hatred and resentment causes suffering first to the one who holds it. On the other hand, when we practice compassion and quietly observe our minds, restless thoughts gradually begin to settle. As attachment and discrimination diminish, the mind encounters a deeper and more lasting peace. Today, try once more to approach someone with understanding. Even a small act of compassion can soften the heart. Peace is not far away. A compassionate heart and an awakened, mindful mind naturally guide us toward a quiet and enduring happiness. A monk is like a great ship. When it is empty within, it becomes light. If one abandons desire, anger, and ignorance, that is nirvana itself. A ship heavily loaded with cargo cannot move with ease. Our minds are much the same when we carry greed, anger, and ignorance within us. Life gradually becomes heavier and more burdensome. Happiness is not always found in accumulating more. Sometimes true freedom comes from letting go. As attachment diminishes, the mind grows lighter and peace begins to arise naturally. Today, if there is something weighing on your heart, try setting it down for a moment. Letting go is not a loss. It is a way of gaining freedom. The path to a lighter heart is not found in adding more to our lives. It is found in releasing what we no longer need. In that spirit of letting go, peace quietly grows. Abandon 5 things and cut off 5 things. Carefully guard the 5 senses and clearly discern another 5. Then you will cross the deep and dangerous flood. To cross the deep flood means to go beyond the world of suffering. To do so, we must let go of the things that cloud the mind, and be mindful not to be carried away by our senses. When we are swept along by everything we see and hear, the mind is easily disturbed and unsettled. But when we observe with awareness and discernment, we are less likely to lose our way. Today, take a moment to notice what you are seeing and hearing throughout the day. Simple awareness helps keep the mind centered and steady. As moments of mindfulness accumulate, the waves of suffering begin to calm. A clear and awakened mind illuminates the path that leads to peace. Cultivate meditation and do not be negligent. Do not fall into confusion because of greed. Do not burn yourself with suffering, as though drinking molten copper. Greed disturbs the mind. Even before we obtain what we desire, the stronger our attachment to having more becomes, the farther peace seems to drift away. The image of drinking molten copper teaches that greed ultimately harms the one who clings to it. It is not others who burn our hearts, but the attachments we create within ourselves. Today, take a moment to look closely at the desires you find difficult to let go of. Awareness is the beginning of release. Greed clouds the mind, while self-restraint brings clarity. True calmness grows where attachment is gently laid down. Without meditation, there can be no wisdom. Without wisdom, meditation cannot be cultivated. The path is attained through meditation and wisdom, and through them one finally reaches nirvana. When we look at the world without a calm and settled mind, we are easily swayed by our emotions and desires. Likewise, without true wisdom, it is difficult to understand why we should cultivate the mind or which direction we should follow. Meditation brings clarity and stillness to the mind, while wisdom reveals the right path. When these two qualities grow together, life becomes deeper, steadier, and more meaningful. Today, take a few moments to quiet your mind and reflect upon yourself. In stillness, wisdom begins to grow. A clear mind and right wisdom are like the lamps that illuminate one another. Together, their light guides us along the path of life. Practice entering into emptiness. Live quietly and let the mind come to rest. Delight in dwelling alone in a peaceful place and contemplate the Dharma with a steady mind. We often live busy lives, rarely giving our minds a chance to rest. Thoughts continue without end, and worries and desires follow close behind. Yet when we pause and remain in stillness, we begin to see the movements of the mind more clearly. Time spent alone is not necessarily loneliness. It can become an opportunity to meet ourselves more deeply. Today, if only for a few moments, find a quiet place and allow your mind to rest. Stillness holds far greater power than we often realize. As the mind becomes calmer, our vision of the world becomes clearer. And in that quiet space of rest, wisdom grows ever deeper. Always govern the 5 aggregates and tame the mind until it becomes like water. When it is clear, pure, gentle, and joyful, it becomes like the taste of heavenly nectar. Water does not struggle or compete, yet it always finds a way to flow forward. When the mind becomes gentle and clear like water, it is no longer easily swept away by afflictions. Whenever greed or anger arises, notice it and gently bring the mind back under control. As this practice continues, a spirit of calmness and kindness naturally takes root. A clear and peaceful mind becomes a place of rest even for oneself. Today, when your mind feels disturbed, think of clear water. There are times when gentleness proves stronger than force. A pure and compassionate mind allows us to see the world with greater clarity. And that peace does not come from outside. It grows quietly from within. One who does not take what belongs to others is called a wise monk. Guard the senses, know contentment, and uphold all the precepts. Human desire often focuses more on what is lacking than on what is already possessed. Because of this, we constantly seek to gain more and accumulate more. Yet those who know contentment can live peacefully even with little. When we carefully watch over our eyes, ears, and mind, unnecessary desires gradually begin to fade. Self-restraint is not a sign of deprivation. It is the wisdom that protects the heart. Today, take a moment to appreciate the things you already have. Contentment is not far away. Greater happiness is found not in possessing more, but in knowing when enough is enough. A grateful heart nurtures peace and allows it to grow within us. From the very beginning, one should practice a pure way of life and seek good teachers and virtuous friends. A wise person who does so will overcome suffering and attain happiness. Although we may seem to live on our own, our lives are deeply influenced by those around us. The people we spend time with shape the way we think and the direction we take in life. When we stay close to those who walk the right path, we naturally learn from their example and guidance. Little by little, the mind matures, and small habits and choices begin to transform our lives. Today, take a moment to think about the people who have had a positive influence on you. Good companionship is one of life's greatest blessings. The path walked alongside wise and virtuous friends is never wasted. Even if it seems long, good relationships brighten the heart and help illuminate the way forward, just as a ripe blossom falls naturally from the tree. When desire, anger, and ignorance are let go, one is freed from the cycle of birth and death. A ripe fruit does not need to be forced from the branch. When the time is right, it falls on its own. The same is true of the mind's afflictions. Greed, anger, and ignorance do not disappear overnight. But when we continually notice them and let them go, their power gradually weakens, rather than forcing them away. What matters is seeing them clearly and releasing them gently. Today, take a moment to notice any attachment or resentment you may be holding. Awareness is the beginning of change. Just as ripe fruit naturally falls, our afflictions also fade in time. The more we let go, the lighter the heart becomes. Restrain the body, guard your speech, and keep the mind quietly at peace. When a monk lets go of worldly attachments, he finds a serene and lasting joy. When the body is disciplined, our actions become wholesome. When we speak with care, conflict begins to fade. And when the mind grows still, daily life becomes calmer. Letting go of the world does not mean leaving it behind. It means releasing the grip of craving and attachment. As attachment fades, a quiet joy naturally arises. Today, pause before you speak and let your mind rest in silence for a moment. That brief stillness can bring deep peace. Those who care for their body, speech, and mind carry peace with them wherever they go. True tranquility begins within. Guard your own body with care and strive against unwholesome thoughts within. By disciplining yourself and reflecting on the truth, you will always dwell in peace. The hardest struggle is not with other people, but with our own minds. When anger rises or desire appears, the first step of practice is simply to notice it. Those who watch over themselves, act with integrity, and keep the truth close to heart are not easily shaken by passing emotions. The strength to master the mind is built through small, daily acts of mindfulness. Today, when you feel your mind becoming unsettled, pause for a moment and look within. That brief pause can protect your inner peace. Those who learn to govern themselves remain steady in every situation. True peace begins by caring for your own mind. Though one says, "This is myself," upon careful reflection, no permanent self can be found. Therefore, one who overcomes the illusion of self and disciplines the mind is called truly wise. We often cling tightly to thoughts of mine and my way, yet everything is constantly changing, and there's no unchanging self to hold on to. The stronger our attachment, the greater our suffering becomes. The more we let go, the lighter the heart grows. True wisdom is not found in trying to prove ourselves right, but in loosening our attachment to the self. Today, try setting aside your own viewpoint and consider someone else's with an open heart. The more we let go of the self, the freer the mind becomes. One who delights in the Buddha's teaching will find abundant joy. When one reaches perfect serenity, all conditioned activity comes to rest, and lasting peace is attained. True joy does not come from fleeting pleasures, but from a mind that has become still. A life driven by craving and attachment may bring temporary happiness, but it never truly lasts. As we study and practice the Dharma, the mind gradually becomes clearer, and restless thoughts begin to settle. Stillness is not the absence of everything. It is the presence of an unshakable peace. Today, take a few quiet moments to experience where true peace arises. Within a tranquil mind, a deep and enduring joy naturally remains. Even the smallest wholesome deed, when it is in harmony with the Buddha's precepts, shines upon the world like the sun in a cloudless sky. A good deed does not have to be great or extraordinary. Even a small act, when it comes from a sincere and wholesome heart, can bring warmth and light to those around us. A kind word or a simple act of consideration may become a source of great comfort for someone. Goodness spreads little by little, bringing more light into the world. Today, try practicing one small act of kindness. Small lights, when gathered together, become a great brightness. Every small act performed with a compassionate heart shines upon the world like the sun on a clear, cloudless day.